Hey guys, I'm back with another video to teach you how to build web applications with React JS. So in this video, we are going to cover everything we need to know about map functions in JavaScript and React JS. We are basically going to learn how to use map functions into your React applications. So stay tuned till the end of the video. I'll be sharing a GitHub link into the description. You will be able to access the code from my GitHub. So if you like watching videos on this channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel and leave a like on this video. Let's get started. So guys, here I have a fresh React application that's running on my localhost 3000. So to start with, we are going to understand what exactly are map functions and how to use them in JavaScript. So let's go back to the code editor. So in order to understand the map functions, I'm going to create here a simple array. Let's put some elements into this array. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 elements in this array. So what exactly is the purpose of map functions in JavaScript? So map functions are basically used to loop over the arrays and get access to each and every element in the array. So now I'm going to write a syntax of a map function. So let's say array dot map. So here we can name the variable as item to access each and every item in this array. And to start with, let's just console log each and every item into this array. So basically what we are doing with the help of map is we are looping over this array and we are console logging each and every element in the array. Let's save this logic and let's see in the browser if we are able to see the elements printed in the console. So I'll go back to the browser and I'm going to inspect my application. Go to the console. So here on the console you can see that all the elements are printed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can see that the map function is working perfectly, but there is more to it. It's a very simple map function that we have written here. So to understand more about it, let's go back to the code. So now this time I want to add some more logic to this map function. So let's say I just want to find out and console log the item at the index 3 in this array. The item at the index 3 is 4. So I just want to console log the item that's placed at index 3 in the array. So to do that, along with the item, I can create one more variable here that is index. And this time I'm going to console log the index and the item. So let's console log index and the value of index, the item and the value of the item, just to see at what index what element is placed in this array. Now if I go back to the browser, so here I can see that now I'm able to see at the index 0 there is item 1, at the index 1 there is item 2, at the index 2 there is item 3. So now we got access to the index and item of that particular array. So let's say that I tell you to print only the item that's placed at index number 2. So to do that, I can simply say if index is equal to 2, then only I'm going to console log this item here. Else, I'm just going to console log nothing. So if I save this, now if I go back to the browser and refresh it, so this time you can see that only item that is printed is at index number 2 and item 3. So basically why we have written this logic is to understand two things. So in the map function, when we map over any array, so it has some inbuilt variables. I can name this variable to anything, but this is a common practice. The second one is basically the index and the first one is the item placed at that particular index in the array. Now I could have named this item as value as well. It's up to me. Let's change it. If I save it again, we see the same results. So we see the same results in the console. So here all we have done is just change the name of the variable. But basically the first variable in this function is the item itself and the second variable in this function is the index of the item. So that's how the map functions work in JavaScript. So now that we know a lot more about the map functions, we are also going to learn how to use these map functions into our applications and how they can help us write better code. So to do that, I'm going to remove all the default code into this application and simply say hello world for now. Let's save it. Let's close the console. So now we can see that we have only hello world printed in the application. Now let's say that I want you to print the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 onto this application. So there are two ways of doing that. One is that I can remove the hello world. I can create another div and I can put the element 1 here. I can copy this 5 times. I can put 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have printed all the 5 elements here. That's what we were trying to do. So, but in this case, this is not a very good logic, because what if I want you to print from 1 to 100 items? So in that case, we are in trouble, because we have to copy this again and again and change into the HTML. So to solve this problem, there is another way of doing that. Another way is that I can access the element in the array like that, array of 0, and I can put the curly braces around it, because it's a JavaScript we are writing here. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm accessing the element in the array at index 0, that is 1. So like that I can copy this logic into all the 5 places, and I just need to change the index. Now if I save it, I'm getting the same result on the browser, but the problem is the same. If I want you to print the 100 elements, then you have to copy this again and again, the HTML. But this logic is solving at least one problem. Let's say that in future I want to change these values. Let's say the first value I'm changing to DEF or something like that. Let's say I'm changing the values to A, B, C, D, and E. So if I save this now if I go to the browser, I'm able to see the change here. The change is reflected. I just have to change the values into the array. I didn't have to change anything into my HTML. So one of the problem we have solved by accessing the elements with the help of index into the array, but the entire problem is still not solved. Let's say this array has hundreds of elements. So in that case, I have to like copy this HTML again and again at the bottom and change the index, which is not a good solution, because this becomes like a data entry job. So to solve this, we are going to implement the map function here. So instead of writing all the divs, this time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all the divs and keep one of them. Let's remove all of them for now. Now what I can do is to implement map function here. I can start the curly braces and I can copy this logic here. Let's write it again. So I can start writing array.map item to. Now this time I don't want to console log item, because here we were using the console log to console log the item, but this time we want this item to appear on the screen, not on the in the console when we inspect it. So to do that, I'm going to loop over this array with the help of map function, and for every item I'm going to return div element, and inside this div element I can start the curly braces again and put the item here. Let's save it. Now if I go and see in the browser, now you can see that we see the same result, but this time the benefit is that we don't have to copy this div again and again into HTML. It's looping over the array and printing all the elements just by writing one line of HTML. So now let's say I want you to print the 100 items here. So what do we have to do in order to achieve this? So this time we don't have to write and copy this div again and again. If we change anything in the array, we should be able to see the changes on the screen because of the map function. So let's say I add one more element here. F, immediately it's changed on the screen and F is added in the list. So this is the benefit of the map function. It helps us to reduce the amount of HTML that we have to write in the application. So let's see another example. Let's say I want you to print a numbers from 1 to 100 in this application. So what is a way of doing that? So one way is like the simple that we have seen before, but that is too complicated. So here, since we have a map function here which is looping over the array, so if I just have an array of 100 elements like this, 1 2 3 up to 100, this will print the 100 items on the screen. So to create such array, I'm going to just use some functions in JavaScript. So I can create an array of 100 elements like this, array of 100 element. If I say dot keys, so this logic will create an array of 100 elements from 1 to 100. If I go back, now you can see that we have printed all the elements from 0 till 99. We are able to print the 100 elements on the screen by just writing one line of code here. Let's say there is, if the map function do not exist in JavaScript, or we are not able to use this into our React applications in the area where we write the HTML, we would have to copy this div 100 times. So there will be 100 lines of code. So we have reduced the 100 lines of code into just one line of HTML with the help of map function and implementing the array into this application. So this is something we were trying to learn about the map functions in this project. If you like it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video. I'll see you next week.